Hi, Dr. Robert Weaver. I'm a Harvard-trained neuropsychologist, and I've gotten a lot of questions regarding things that would be helpful. And so today's discussion's about how to be making the holiday season a little bit better. It's often difficult because there's a lot of excitement and things are going on, and there's ceremonies and relatives and so on and so forth. And it's very, very difficult for kids and adolescents to modulate their attention, their behavior, their emotions, and so forth. So, what I've done today, and I've gotten some help from Linnea Weaver, who's an expert in organization and tutoring and speech and language here at the Weaver Center and at a local junior high school. Some very good ideas to help with the holidays. Number one, it's always important if there's a therapist or someone that knows your child very well to get ideas that are specific to your child. So asking someone that's involved as a therapist or as a coach or as a study skills person, whatever someone that has good observations of your child, make sure that you get all of the advice that you can. Number two, it's really important to plan, to sit down and plan, either with yourself or your significant other, and eventually with your child. But the first part of the plan is twofold. Number one, to identify where there are likely to be difficulties in monitoring and managing one's self. And we know that if things to keep in mind in terms of driving your decision making during those difficult moments or places or activities is that our kids do very, very well with high interest. They do very well one-on-one with adults, sometimes older siblings or older relatives. They do very well when there's an activity that's structured, where everybody's doing kind of the same thing at the same time. They move along with the emotions. And the areas that are likely to be difficult are during transitions or long car rides or moving from one place or situation to another, or when there's a great deal of excitement, and so forth. So to be able to sit down and write down and to plan what times and areas are likely to be most difficult. Now, another idea, I'm not going to number these because it's I'm just going to shoot them out, but our kids sometimes have trouble just saying hello and being focused on the introduction of a change in family set of memberships. So you can practice, hey, hello, Grandma. And if your child's a hugger, that's great. If not, a high five, or find something that your child can practice with you that would be appropriate for the people that he and she are meeting. It's always good to have pictures of the family members that they're going to be meeting so that they know who they are and a little bit about them. That can always be of high interest. And it's also important to think about what to do if there's a situation where a child is all revved up or is very hyperactive or is being inappropriate somehow, is to make sure that there's a place that's set aside, no matter what home you're in, that has high interest activity that can be quiet place, where a child is not there for punishment, but there to have some fun and to just relax, have drawing materials there, have good video games where they're building or something that's of high interest where they can chill out for a little bit, or a TV place with some cartoons, or have that on your phone so that a child can watch something fun. That's a nice distraction and away from all of the activity. But plan some, have a little checklist of possible things that your son or daughter likes, so that when they go to a fun spot to relax, they've got some things to do there. So that's very fun. And related to that is to have some guidelines about how and when to use video games or TV times or whatever. What are the structures that you use? There are very helpful things. Just a timer sometimes can be helpful. Just say, listen, you got 20 minutes or a half hour on this, or when the dinger goes off, you'll hear it, they'll hear it, and maybe you can go right over in a one-to-one situation to help them disengage from high interest, just like we often need one-on-one to engage in low interest tasks. And it's also good, if you can, to think about choices. Hey, you want to clear the table? You want to clean up the play area? Giving kids choices often helps them be a little bit more invested and not so resistant, to change. So having some good guidelines with regard to video and digital things. Also, food can be sometimes difficult. You got to wait, or there's too much sugar around. If there's some high interest, not high interest, but some healthy bars that can help tide over, an impatient child before dinner, or all sitting around, or just having some options that's not just all sweets and candies that can create a bit of hyperactivity. That's always a good plan to have. Also, in the back of your mind, have activities that you think would be useful. That if there's something that's going on, or a transition or whatever, and you're saying, hey, listen, let's go throw the baseball around, or let's go throw the basketball around, or, have some active things that kids can do. One of the best things to do is to run around and get as tired as you can right before dinner, when you have to sit still for a while. So if there's a way to have some really good activities that kind of helps kids slow down, as long as there's a bit of a slow down process in between, where they can have some water or something and just have a conversation one-on-one, and then they can move to a family situation, or a family activity, or a family dinner, is excellent. So also having some board games. A lot of our kids have board games that they like. Have it in that quiet period, or ask a sibling, or a relative, or a niece or a nephew to do board games. Can be very, very engaging for kids. Always at the ready, if and as you need it. Also, it's important to try to make sure that your expectations are reasonable. Sometimes just having a kid say hello very nicely and come for dessert instead of the whole dinner might be a successful time. So, make sure that the expectations are reasonable, knowing that most likely adults, and you can also ask other adults to engage your child. Sometimes it's a lot easier. Do you mind if you hang out with Susie or Jeff for a little bit, interact with them? Very nice. Outline your resources, the people that might be around that you could call in to take a half hour, 15, 20-minute time with your son or daughter. Be a very nice idea. Another thing is to really know what the high interests are. The more you know about what's high interest for your child, the more you can bring that along, whether it's puzzles or activities or games or science or history items, that when your child has accomplishments, have them be showing others about the things that they do well, giving them an opportunity to teach somebody about something that they know. Adults are very nice about going along with engaging kids on something that they know what they like. And kids often have a lot of great pictures on their phones or whatever to go over and to show things. And if not, maybe that would be a great thing to put on their phone, just to have some nice movies of things that they do well, so that, again, in the midst of something that might be too exciting, or there's too much activity or something like that, you can easily say, hey, show Uncle so-and-so the movie of you fly fishing or whatever, or making a puzzle, or doing with Legos. So another thing that sometimes can be very helpful, a lot of our kids have difficulties with clothing, so it's really important, to have comfortable clothing. And if they need to look nice, maybe they can look nice from with the shirt on, but have comfortable shoes and pants or sweatpants. But just something that doesn't feel too restrictive, because that sometimes can be very bothersome. Or if they need to take pictures or something, just say, listen, we're going to do this for 5 minutes. And then you can have your more relaxing clothes on. The other thing that's very nice, if you can, is to structure out the day. What are we going to be doing today? Gee, we're going to start here, we're going to start here, we're going to start here. The more our kids can hear and understand the general activities, the more you can say, well, this might be a time when you want to be very nice to your uncle or your aunt or something, or there's an issue that's going on that we should be sensitive about what to say, what not to say. So you can do a little bit of practice with your kids, which is a very nice way to do that. Routines are always the best, and it goes along with having a schedule. If you can keep your routines, the same bedtime, the same wake-up time, the same dinner time, if possible. If not, there's always changes during the holidays. But anything that can stay the most routine, and you can say, this is like what we do at home, or if you're at home, this is the routines that we really like and that work best for you, is getting into bed and reading, relaxing, listening to books on tape, having other things that might be of high interest that would be a nice distraction, are very good ideas. Always reinforcing the positive. Whenever you see your child or children or adolescents doing something nice, it's so good. And sometimes we don't notice the good things enough. Hey, it was really nice when you helped so-and-so clean the kitchen, or, take the skins off the potatoes, or, just be mindful that positive reinforcement is way better than negative stuff. And again, if there's a time that you need for a timeout, have it be a positive place that's a timeout, so it doesn't feel like punishment and then anger and frustration, and then things get a little bit out of control, or go take a walk or have some fresh air. It's always good to have a plan, and the more that you have plans, the better things will be during the holidays. Bringing a new game, bringing some things that the child might be interested in. There's all kinds of coloring books and coloring, so on and so forth, even for adults. So I hope with this advice that with a little bit of plan, and maybe even at the end of the day kind of going through what worked, what didn't work, what you could do more of, planning's always a good idea, so that you're not surprised at those moments that can be some of the harder and more challenging times for our kids. So happy holidays. I hope they're the best, and I hope that you can make the best of them. And besides, the more you got to plan, the more you can plan other times when it's not holidays, that you've got a way of dealing with things. Again, thanks for your questions. When you send me at my email, rweaver@weavercenter.org. Check out our website, same, weavercenter.org. And happy holidays.